You're in the back corner. Nobody's gonna see you.
Adios. At the end of this, we're gonna play a game, which involves Airheads and Jolly Ranchers of the chewy kind. So, taking notes is important. I do have a handout with the stuff on it. I'll give it to you at the end of class.
I got one question. How we taking this?
Huh? Oh, cause just pay attention. There, you're right-handed, right?
Yeah.
You have an excuse. Everyone else try to take notes. Okay, today I was gonna try to use the board more, and also just if I call on you, I don't know anybody's name. Just let me know your name as we go. No, it's like if you have a question. I mean that's fine now, but if you have a question, okay? Like, if you have a question, concern, it's just a way for me to learn names.
Hey, Chief, be respectful when I'm talking.
I'm Mr. Gross. I've been observing you guys from that chair over there. I think you guys are smart. I want to teach you guys something that's going to help you with your papers. It's going to help you understand. I'm teaching logical fallacies. Okay. Oh, these markers. Okay. So we're going to go over logic first. Basically what it's composed of. Okay. You guys see that?
Yes.
That's okay. So logical fallacies. So I'm going to teach you guys what logic is, then I'm going to teach you guys how bad arguments are made so that you can recognize them when you read other arguments and that you make sure you don't commit them yourself in your papers, okay? So somebody tell me a time they got in an argument recently and who won?
Last block.
Who won? Go ahead.
Friday.
What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin. Last
Friday.
Friday? What was it about?
I don't even know. About where
So in other words, it wasn't probably not that important to argue about. Because when you argue, you're trying to convince, right? More or less, right?
Yeah.
If you don't remember, then probably not that important.
Who's arguing Friday?
What it was about.
Who's gonna win? Like who's gonna go to the finals?
Okay.
Yeah. And you said Connecticut, and I said Florida.
Did you have reasons?
Yeah, that's Florida's good. And
They're good.
yeah,
But aren't they all good or they wouldn't be in the tournament?
Florida.
Right.
Finals.
So you gotta argue. That's a subjective term. But okay. I hear you. Did you feel like you won the argument though? Oh, I got even better terms. Too bad for Florida. Okay. Did anybody have an argument where they felt somebody won for a particular reason? Alright. What's your name?
Tavo
Dabo, what's up, buddy?
and Margaret last block was female
Okay.
and her she won because the other friends helped her and I was just the only big argument.
So they kind of ganged up on you?
Yeah.
They made you feel like you might have been right, but there's just too many of them, right?
Yeah.
They were like
Female
in a
talk too
group.
much.
So they just wore you out.
Yeah.
They won by wearing you out. That's one way to win an argument. Doesn't mean they were right. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about fallacies. You win an argument using sound reasoning, okay, using premises, which are your points, which you guys are talking about in your thesis statements, okay? And then you back it up. Try to be logical. Let's just move on with this. This quote we'll just skip. Okay. You are crafting an argument in your paper, okay? So arguing, just to be technical, in the technical sense, you're not necessarily, it's not between two people. It doesn't have to be. That's how we use it right now. Okay? So I was just trying to break this down a little bit so you guys understand that arguing is presenting reasons, your 1, 2, 3, right, on your thesis for a particular claim that you're making. Okay? Interpretation that you're putting in. So it starts with an idea you have, and then you go find reasons. Okay? That's good arguing. Okay, so now we're going to talk about arguments that people make that are used to in advertising a lot to make you buy things. They're used by politicians to make you believe things, but they're not sound arguments. Okay, they're not valid arguments. Okay. So hey, question? No, you're just how tall is Will Chamberlain, that's what you're doing. So you guys with me so far? I know.
Can you tell us when to write?
Oh sure, yeah. No, you don't have to do it yet. Not yet. We are gonna play a game though. So I want you guys to understand the difference between deductive and inductive, okay? It's logic, all right? We're not gonna get too much into philosophy, and this is not the fun part of the lecture, but in order to understand a logical fallacy, you have to know what logic is, right? What does it mean to be logical? Someone tell me. What's the opposite of being logical?
Not having common sense.
That's good. Okay. Logic is exactly making sense. That's a good way to put it. Maybe being emotional. That's because one, if you're thinking, you're being logical. If you're being emotional, there's a thing called logos and pathos. Okay. It is. All of this is Greek. Almost everything we teach in English comes from the Greek.
It's like weird.
What, pathos?
Yeah, that's what it ends.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you,
No.
mathos?
Yeah.
I don't know what mathos is.
Is it Greek?
So, I mean, here's an opposite. So making sense, okay? Using sound reasoning and using an emotional argument, like an appeal to somebody's emotions, right? Appeal to somebody's sensibilities versus an appeal to, the mother wanting to protect the child, okay? That's an appeal to, okay? So deductive reasoning, we'll go over this real fast, I promise, okay? It's something that is true. It has to be true. There's no way around it, okay? If A, then B. Sometimes true by definition. It means if you take one thing and you add another thing, then you have a conclusion, right? Deductive, that's the soundest reasoning you can have. If bachelors are all single males, right, like me, okay, and Mark is a bachelor, then you deduce, right, using deductive reasoning, deduce that Mark is a single unmarried male. You see? So you're a bachelor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you're a single unmarried male by definition. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're a married bachelor, no? Okay, you guys see how that works kind of? It's just it's definition based. Yeah. That's one example. In your papers, guys, you're making an inductive argument, okay? It just has to probably be true. Okay? You're making the best argument possible based on your reasons, right? So you're doing video games, right? Your paper's video games. Okay? So look at this. If A, then probably B. Just remember that about induction. Okay? Can you guys... There's no room. So, I actually thought about this. To teach induction, okay, so you got A and B. Right, so your thesis is that video games are good for people, right?
Correct.
In some way, shape, or form, right? What were your reasons again? Wasn't it helps you live longer?
What?
Like maybe if you play video games, it's just a theory. It's just a theory.
A little bit of brain activity.
Brain activity. So if video games promote brain activity, right? That's A. Then B is probably true that video games are good for you. Okay? James. Awesome. Good for you. You see how this is your sort of your thesis statement? Okay? And these are just possible reasons. Video games don't always stimulate your brain, but if they do, then they might be good for you. They're probably good for you. That's what you're doing in your paper. You guys get it?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Fallacies are errors in reasoning. We're going to play a game about this, alright? We teach you arguments that people make that are not sound. They're not inductive, they're not deductive. They're bad arguments on purpose, okay? They want to fool people or whatever. Okay? These are the four. This is something about what you need to write down. I know it's last block, guys. I'll be pumping some sugar and some airheads and stuff. Just bear with me. Okay. So we have this. There's a classification of a bad argument. It's called a fallacy. Not all bad arguments are fallacies. Okay. They have certain characteristics that make them convincing. Okay, but they're not. They're deceptive. Okay. They sound good, but they lack evidence. They're mistaken for good arguments. Okay. Do you guys understand that? You probably don't understand yet because I haven't shown you examples, but you will. Guys, with me? Live? Okay, good. Of course you are. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Right, fallacy.
Huh?
You said?
Yeah.
You said take this?
Just write it down. If you got the papers, it'll probably take you about the same amount of time. So remember how we started out talking about bad arguments, right? Sometimes people will use fallacies without even knowing it, It's just, and you'll see it's something, you'll recognize a lot of these things that people do in routine, everyday life. Guys getting there? What's up? What's that? No question? All right. Okay. Oh, you guys, this is exactly like last block. It gets better. It's better. Okay. So they're bad arguments. All you need to know. That's basically what we need to know. They're used, and someone brought up a good point in the last block. They're usually used to persuade. Okay. I want you to do something. I want you to buy something. I want you to think something. So it helps my political cause. So it helps you buy my Mercedes. So it helps whatever. That's a lot of the times what they're used for. Okay. So we're going to go through 5. You know what, let's start out with. Oh man.
What's wrong with bandwagon?
I know. Okay, I'll just find that. Bandwagon. Okay, this is number 1. You guys heard of bandwagon? Like in general, jump on the bandwagon? Right. Like jumping on the Florida bandwagon, even though there's no sound, there's no evidence that. Actually, there was evidence.
It's not bandwagon, just saying the team gonna win the championship.
Right.
Bandwagon.
It's not saying I didn't say it was my favorite team. I just said it gonna win.
So there's a fallacy. Okay, it's a fallacy. It's a bad argument. A bandwagon is because it's used in advertising a lot. Because everyone supposedly thinks or does something, it must be right. Okay, that's an easy one. We're starting with the easy ones. They're going to get harder. Okay. If 65% of people think we should colonize the moon, you might have your own opinion about that, right? I mean, you might say, "Hey, I don't think we belong up there. I don't think it's ours." But just because if everyone's trying to convince you, if most people think that's bandwagon, right? It's taking away your ability to choose for yourself. You guys think of any examples?
Yeah.
Huh?
Drinking age.
Okay, but as it's remember it's an argument.
Yeah, that's an argument.
But no, that's a premise. Just lower the drinking. That's A. But the argument is because of this. Because so the bandwagon, if you attach the bandwagon to it, it'd be what? Because everyone agrees that we should lower.
18.
Huh?
18. Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm a little lost. You got? Okay. Yeah. In religion. Okay, so that is okay. So you mean religion in general might be? I mean, to a lot of people, group think. What you guys notice when things start happening, they tend to start happening. They appear out of nowhere. Fads and whatever products, all of a sudden everyone's got it. Did you
iPhone.
really think about it?
iPhone.
iPhone, perfect. It's a bandwagon. I mean,
Y'all bandwagon.
I have to say that because every time you buy an iPhone, you have to upgrade to their newest charger or whatever. You know, most people overlook that in order to have an iPhone. I'm just saying there are reasons not to have one.
Android, they have phones.
So do I. Okay? So it's preying on people's want to conform. Okay? To ignore their beliefs about something. Or maybe they never even allowed to have a belief about something. Okay? Bandwagon. So, you guys know who Copernicus is?
Yes. A famous astronomer.
This guy. Last time, you're impressing me. That's true.
It says right there.
Hey, I'm just giving it a benefit of the doubt, okay?
I should have read.
So, back in, when was that, Mr. Crisp?
It was the 1400s.
1400s. Back when astronomy held geocentric, which means everyone, the whole bandwagon of the whole world thought that the Earth went around the sun. I mean, sorry, the other way around. That the sun, the Earth was the center of the universe, right? Okay, huh? It was just back then, because they would watch the sun, they'd be like, well, it must be, the Earth is the center. There's no
Geographic marker.
Yeah, right, but it's all relative, which we have found out now. But Copernicus, he was executed because he wouldn't back down about this. Okay, he wouldn't back down about, hey, you know what I'm talking about? My belief is I'm not going to go with the bandwagon. I'm going to think about this my own way, and he was right. It turned out he was right. So I'm just saying things are changing all the time, so always pay attention. Make sure you believe something because you believe it.
I'm gonna be on 2K.
Huh?
I'm gonna be on 2K.
Like NBA?
Yep. You should watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely, I don't know if you got a big bandwagon there.
It is gonna be
2K what, 2K40?
Nah.
No, that makes sense. I mean, what sounds like, no, that's a little, okay, no,
That's a little
2K 20, what, 28?
25.
28 on the cover?
2K.
Duncan left-handed?
Excellent.
Okay. Okay, so you guys see why, this is a bandwagon, this image
I
here?
don't get it.
Yeah.
No.
Somebody explain this.
A successful man is in a car and he's driving.
Anybody? See why?
Oh, so he like. Yeah, that
Successful
makes
man
perfect
owns
sense.
a car.
Because it's like, yeah, but that could be a stereotype though.
He's struggling.
They said because you walking, you think you
Yeah, because that guy that's walking, he could be a billionaire.
I think you all had great reasons, but say that again.
They said because you walking, he has to be unsuccessful.
Right. It's based on a definition.
Look at him say,
Even though this guy's stressed out, right? He's about to blow his top. You could probably fry an egg on the top of his head. Right? He's in a mob of other people who are supposedly successful, but he's losing it. He's mad at his wife, I guess. And Mr. Uggs over here, right? Mr. Santa Claus, it's just all about the idea. It's like, what is your idea of success, right? Why does your idea of success have to include stress?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. But because he's got the Mercedes and the other guy has, he's happy with his life.
I thought it was a text.
What, a Toyota Corolla maybe?
I thought it was a text.
It looked like a backwards view.
Do you guys understand bandwagon? I want to move on.
Yeah, we
Okay.
understand.
Cool. I had a P Diddy commercial I wanted to show, but I can't now.
Why?
It's hilarious.
Why you can't show it?
Because I don't have the link anymore.
You talking commercial like this?
I'll show you at the end if we have time.
I'm not
It
doing.
was a entourage.
The one I do, I drink this.
That's a fallacy. That's a bandwagon. Hang
Oh no,
on.
you remember.
Bear with me.
I can't remember.
Okay, ad hominem. So you guys get the idea that the bandwagon, it's breaking, it's a false argument, right? This is right because everyone's doing it.
Yeah, that's
False argument.
that's ignorant.
That's fallacy number one. Fallacy number two is ad hominem. It's Latin, so it sounds weird. ad hominem, I think it means basically at the person. That's what it means in Latin. So when you attack somebody's character, instead of attacking the argument they're making, in order to take away from their credibility, right? So you attack the person, you don't attack the argument, which is what you should be doing. You guys know what Greenpeace is? Greenpeace? It's an organization.
Yeah.
No.
They do, they're environmentally friendly, trying to push the world to, cars like,
green.
Priuses, hybrid cars,
I don't think that's
planting trees. That's what Greenpeace does, right? So if somebody called Greenpeace a bunch of lazy hippies because they don't fit in with the idea of whatever we're doing right now, which is really putting a lot of smog and things into the environment. So instead of talking about their policies, if you call them a bunch of hippies, you'd be like, hey, look, you're a hippie. We can't believe what you're saying because you don't work hard, right? But that's misleading. That's the whole point. That's why this is a fallacy. Get that one?
Are hippies even real?
It's real.
It's very
I never seen that.
Be cool, man.
Go up to Asheville sometime. Asheville, North Carolina. So, who can think of another example? Yeah. Something you've seen makes somebody look bad.
What?
Huh?
What? Oh, that people think that's not bad?
Yeah, hang on one second. Or no, where you attack somebody.
Oh, like,
People think you're stupid because you
hold on, what, say it again? Can you give me the definition?
What's that? Let's just, my camera's kind of dying. I'm just going to move ahead. I was going to say, think of an example where somebody attacked the person instead of the argument they were making.
Back in the day.
Okay, we'll just save it, but. Okay. Yeah, that's just like basically what an ad hominem is. This bird's saying, I believe that human cloning is wrong, which is a weird thing for a bird to care about. Of course you would say that you're an idiot. So, because he's an idiot, nothing he says matters, right?
Oh, I get it.
Human cloning is wrong.
Okay? Begging the question. Circular reasoning, it's the same thing, okay? This fallacy, when it's committed, it's a bad argument because instead of proving something, you just redefine it in different terms and define it by its own definition instead of proving it. Okay? So like, your parents tell you to go to bed, and you're like, why? I'm not tired. And they said, I say you need to go to bed because I said so.
No, that's just honor your mothers. Do something, you do it.
Get that bet on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just assume your parents don't abuse you.
Just respect your
But
parents.
if they use this, it's circular reasoning, right? All you're looking for is a reason, right? Did your parents still make you go to bed, or is that like a young?
My mom, like at 11:30 years ago.
Yeah.
The kid shouldn't have a place to talk over his or her.
Right.
Respect.
Right. So basically, here's another good example. Okay, it's called begging the question, by the way. This fallacy is called begging the question because you're forcing me to ask you another question because all you did was define something by trying to prove it to me by defining it. Okay, so this wise man is saying, the soul's immortal, okay? Since it lives forever, since it does not die, therefore it's immortal.
That's
Well, what's wrong with that?
He's defining the word.
Right. If you pay attention, all he did was define immortal, which is to live forever and to not die. Right? So he tried to prove that the soul's immortal just by simply defining it. but it sounds good, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't ever prove it. What's up, man? You can come back. All right. Got that one? Circular reasoning.
I'm ready for the game.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I need to grab.
Slippery slope. Okay, this fallacy is when, if you think about a hill, right? You're standing on an icy hill. If you take the first step, you're just going to slide and keep sliding and keep sliding. It's a way of arguing with somebody or to convince other people that if we take this first step, it's going to lead to something else that there's no proof for it. Okay? You guys kind of see what I mean? You have any idea? Okay, so if I said, you might not want to stand up right now, because if you walk out that door, you're gonna get soaking wet. If you get soaking wet, you're gonna get pneumonia. Then you might go to the hospital. You go to the hospital, there's nobody to pay your hospital bills. That's why we should put Medicaid into effect, right? But there was you walking out that door and me saying that's gonna make you go to the hospital. That's a slippery slope. That's not necessarily gonna happen. It's basically scaring people into believing something.
I swear.
Because it's like, well, if you do this, this is going to happen.
Vaccines.
Can you, like what?
Vaccines.
Zines? Oh, vaccines?
Man, that's
Okay.
true. That's one of
You guys get slippery slope? Like, think about it.
Slippery slope.
That's what it's called.
I don't ever get a flu shot. I don't ever get
Like this guy. If he takes that step, so whatever the step may be, not a literal step. If we take a step in a program, I'll give you an example. Okay, well, this is another kind of lame example, but okay, he's saying, dude, don't. He's trying to walk, right? He's like, dude, don't do it. Somewhere down the road it'll lead to chores.
No,
Which it might, right?
Yeah, you've grown up too fast.
Grown up